Today we're going to be solving some inequalities by multiplication and division. Previously we have done addition and subtraction, so now multiplication and division. So just a little bit of helpful information. When you are solving for an inequality, make sure that the variable is on the left side of the inequality before you start solving. Make sure the variable is on the left side before you start solving. It's just going to help you in the long run. So if you look at the example on the bottom where it says 8 is greater than x plus 3, you want to move this x plus 3 over to the left side so that when you write it, it would be x plus 3 is less than 8. Notice that the inequality, it looks like it's a mouth that's trying to eat the 8. Make sure that it's still it's facing towards the 8. So in this one, we would rewrite it as x divided by 4 should be over to the left. And then since the first one says 16 is less than or equal to x divided by 4, you need to flip the signs to make it look like x divided by 4 is greater than or equal to 16. Again, we're doing this just because it will help you when you have to graph these inequalities. So now that was addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction, treat it as a normal equation. Now, moving on to multiplication. This is where it gets a little tricky. If you are multiplying a positive number, just treat it as a regular equation. So, if it's a positive number, treat it as just a regular equation. So, if we have 4x is greater than 40, remember this, when we say 4x, it's 4 times x. So what's the opposite of times x? You have to divide by 4 on both sides. And do that. The 4's cancel out on the left, and x is greater than 40 divided by 4, that is equal to 10. So x is greater than 10 is the final answer. Now off to the right, we have x divided by 4. I don't want you to say x over 4, because when you say over 4, it's not denoting a mathematical operation. So this is divided by 4. So x divided by 4 is less than 3. Now what's the opposite of divided by 4? It's to multiply by 4. So if you multiply by 4 on both sides, the 4's cancel out on the left. X is greater than 3 times 4, 12. Sorry, x is less than 12 is our final answer. So now we have two examples here. We have the first one, 18 is greater than 2/3 x. So remember, I like to rewrite it where the variable is off to the left. So I'm just going to rewrite it real quick. We have 2/3 x is less than 18. So now, let's see here. We have 2/3 times x. So to get x by itself, remember, we have to do the multiplicative identity, or we have to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/3. So what's the reciprocal of 2/3? That is 3 over 2. So if you multiply 3 over 2 on the left, multiply 3 over 2 on the right. On the left, these cancel out, and all you have left is x is less than. Now we have 18 times 3 over 2, or 3 divided by 2. So remember, to solve that, how do you write 18 as a fraction? 18 over 1. And you multiply 3 over 2. Remember, you can cross simplify. So 18 and 2 can be simplified. 2, both of these can be divided by 2. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Multiply straight across. 9 times 3 is 27. 1 times 1 is 1. So, remember, 27 over 1 is basically the exact same as 27. So, when we multiply 18 times 3 over 2, our answer is 27. And this is what our final answer to the problem is. X is less than 27. Now the second one, we have 20 is less than 4t. Remember, I like to rewrite it where the variable is off to the left. So we have 4t is greater than 20. To get t by itself, you have to divide by 4 on both sides. So the 4 is crossed out on the left, so t is greater than 20 divided by 4, which is equal to 5. So our final answer is t is greater than 5. Alright, now, so this slide is extremely important. So, please pay attention. If you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, treat it as a regular equation like usual, but you must flip the sign. You must flip the inequality sign. If you have multiplying or dividing by a negative number, flip the sign. So, for example, we have negative 8x is greater than 24. If we see, we are going to divide by a negative 8. When we divide by a negative 8 on both sides, we still have our x, but now we have to look at the sign. It is a greater than sign. We must flip the sign, so that'll be a less than. So we flip the sign. So 24 divided by a negative 8 is equal to a negative 3. So x is less than negative 3. Here's another one. We have x divided by 5 is less than or equal to 3. So in the book, you will see that there's a negative sign off to the left. This negative sign can either go with the x or it can go with the 5. I always recommend the negative sign going with the denominator, wherever the number is. So if we have x divided by 5, the opposite of divided by is to be multiplied. So we're going to multiply by a negative 5 on both sides. Now we're multiplying a negative, and when you multiply a negative, remember you must flip the sign. Important. So 3 times a negative 5 is equal to a negative 15. So our final answer is x is greater than a negative 15. Alright, so I'm going to do the first one, you're going to do the second one. So the first one, we have 3/4 is less than negative 7/5 times x. So remember, I like to rewrite it where the variable is off to the left. So we then will have negative 7/5 x is greater than 3/4. Now, to get x by itself, remember you must multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 7/5 is negative 5/7. Remember, so if we multiply negative 5/7 on the left, must multiply negative 5/7 on the right. So these cancel out. Remember, we're multiplying by a negative. if you multiply by a negative, what do you do with the sign? You must flip the sign. So when we multiply 3/4 and negative 5/7, we know that the answer is going to be negative, so I'm just going to put that negative sign right there. Now, 3 and 7 can't be simplified, 4 and 5 can't be simplified, so let's just multiply straight across. 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 7 is 28. So our final answer is x is less than negative 15/28. Alright, so what I want you to do, pause the video, try the one off to the right, and unpause the video when you're ready to see what I've done. Okay, now we have x divided by a negative 4 is less than or equal to a negative 6. Now remember, this is divided by. To get x by itself, you must do the opposite of divided by, which is multiply a negative 4. Multiply negative 4. So if you do that on both sides, remember we have x, but we just multiplied by a negative number, so we must flip the sign. So negative 6 times a negative 4 is equal to a positive 24. So our answer is x is greater than or equal to 24. So time for a review. So if we are solving inequalities, you solve them just like regular equations, unless you are multiplying or dividing a negative number. This is so important. If you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you flip the inequality sign for the negative number. Extremely important.